Hello, and welcome back. I'm Nicole, a cottage witch, and this is my first attempt at doing a screen recording, and we'll see how it goes. So basically, Coyote Tarot did a Tarot Wrapped 2023, and I realized I don't have a spreadsheet for tarot. I should do something about that, which I'll get to in a second. I do have a spreadsheet for books. So basically, what I do, in a nutshell, is I have a tab for 2023 data, and I export about a third of the fields you can export from Goodreads. Unfortunately, not all of them. And then I paste that in here, and then I add details like format, fiction, nonfiction, front or back list. Genre, I've skipped this year because I couldn't be bothered. Language, the language I read, because I'm trying to learn French and Arabic, which I'm abysmal at. Let's not get into it. The Goodreads bookshelf I store them on, and then information about the author, where they're from, where they currently live, details about them. If they're Indigenous authors, I like to know what sort of Indigenous, which sounds weird, but like which First Nation they're from. Gender, whether they're BIPOC, LGBTQ, disabled, or neurodiverse. And then red is just a column where one means I've read it. So it's filled out with one for everything so that I can tally things up later on the dashboard, and I'll get to that. And then the dates, start and finished, and my rating. So I filled that in for all of the books I read last year, which the spreadsheet is a bit sluggish on my computer. So if it looks laggy, that's probably what it is. So then I have a dashboard that pulls from this data tab. So I can look at just 1 month. I can look at books by rating, by language. So I read 105 books last month. Listened to some of them, quite a lot of them, obviously. That is not accurate. I'll have to look into why that formula is not accurate, but it sure isn't. By month read, that's number of books by month read, number of books by country. So gender, I'm pretty happy. O is what I use for other, just whatever doesn't fit into male or female. If somebody's a trans woman, I put them under female. If they're like non-binary or something, I'll put other, or gender fluid, or whatever other. So that category could stand to grow a little bit, but mostly I read women last year. However, this percentage I see has fallen, so I need to do something about that this year. And these numbers as well for LGBTQ and disabled or neurodiverse authors could stand to be a fair bit higher. So I'd like to do that, and in past years they have been higher, and it really, I don't know, keeps me honest, because sometimes you can think you're reading more women or people of color or whatever than you actually are. At least in my case, that's been the case. Original language read, nonfiction, fiction, and format. So most of the books were audiobooks, most of them were nonfiction, which is a change from past years. I've been on a nonfiction kick recently. But I'm getting back into fiction. And then, oh yeah, I had to write down that shortcut key to refresh the dashboard, because it doesn't automatically refresh when you update this data. And then what I do is there are select columns from this tab that I copy into this tab, and then I've got these formulas for, is this the first instance of this country on the list? And if it's true, then that country appears in the all birth countries. Same with all original languages. And the point of that, and this is all the books I've read since 2015, so it's slowing down a little bit. So this is the list of all the countries. Whoops. And then I copy that list into here. Remove the spaces, obviously, and then you can convert them into this geography data type, which is a new-ish. It's not terribly new, but a relatively new feature for Excel. And I've used the continents to color code. So you can see the legend is color coded by continent. And so these are all the countries that I have authors that I've read, which is pretty fun. Clearly, North America and Europe are doing fine. Asia is doing pretty good. To read a Yemeni author this year and a Qatari one. It's on my list. Africa and South America are looking a little sparse. Central America too, I think. And a lot of these island countries. Some of which I don't always remember the names of until the Olympics roll around and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a country. Oops. So one day. I do also have a book by a Greenland author on my list this year. So yeah, that's my books that I've read from 2016 on in my attempt to read around the world. I think I'm doing okay. I focused mostly on the Middle East. And then, of course, the books that are easiest to come by in Canada are either Canadian, American, or sometimes British. Other books, there are some African countries that are really hard to find authors, at least in English or French. Same with some of these other countries, like Turkmenistan, I think. Actually, Mongolia, I have an author to read this year. But I think Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan, I have yet to find an author in English that I can get my hands on. One of their books. So that's my book spreadsheet. Now, briefly popping over to my tarot spreadsheet. Come on. It's not really cooperating with me here. Decks. So what I started doing after I watched a video, I can't remember what it was called, but it was with Lisa Pepez and Don Michelle, and they talked about collections. And I think at least one of the two of them has a spreadsheet with their lists of decks in it. So that's what I started. And I use Google Docs for this at the moment because I update it on my phone, and that's the easiest. I tend to prefer Excel for formulas, but for being able to do things on my phone, Google Sheets is easier. So this is the information I keep about the decks that I own, and then I've got another tab which is slightly out of the area that you can see here. Let me just fix that. There we go. Another tab for wish list or ordered ones. So either Kickstarters or a couple others that I pre-ordered, and then other wish list ones. And then what I've added is a list for card pulls, and this is very preliminary. But the idea is that I'm going to do something like what Coyote Tarot has done and have now this is completely empty, so it's not very interesting to show you. But what it's going to have is a list of all the majors, a list of all the minors, and how many times each of those cards have come up every year, and then a list of the decks and how many times those have come up. How many times I've used those every year, just to find out how often things come up and how often I use certain decks. So that's the plan for that, and yeah, I mean, I do have my Master's of Library and Information Studies, and I work as a data analyst, so I'm fairly geeky about this sort of thing. So that's what I've got for books and decks. I do also have a few other books that I might show you after this with further bookish geeky information. I don't tend to have books like that for tarot, but maybe I should. I'll ponder that a little bit. Okay, I haven't actually opened these books in a while, but these are the books. I have, well, several. So I'll start with this one, I guess. I keep a list of the books that I own and books that I own that are unread, which clearly I have to do some work on because I own too many for my small apartment. I really have to get rid of some of them. I've done, oh, I'll put this in the other book. This is this a book riot book? No. Who made this book? I can't remember. Anyway, it's got a list of all different sorts of things. So you can make your own lists of favorite heroes, favorite classics, favorite nonfiction books. So it's just sort of your biography and books. I guess Joseph Boyden's probably not somebody I'd recommend anymore, but these are some of my favorite authors. Books that make me laugh, books that make me cry. That's a longer list, it seems. And so you can just keep track of sort of your life in books. And yeah, it's quite long and I haven't added to it for a while, so after I'm done filming this video, I probably will do that. However, one of the other things I have to do is update this. So I've got several challenges in this book. The first is reading around the world, which is the only one I really want to do. So I've got, if it's checked off, I've read it. If it's not, these are authors from Algeria that I think I might like. Same with him. Actually, do I have that book? Some of these books I have, some of them I don't. Some of them I've just looked up. Like, I don't think I have that book, but I've looked up authors from Benin and Belgium, and actually, I think I've got some books of hers. And so, the first line is fiction, the second is nonfiction. So I want to read at least one book from every country in the world. And if I can manage to read one fiction and one nonfiction from every country, that would be ideal. So that's the first section. And I've got some, controversial countries in here like Tibet. It's Exhibit A. And then there is a Goodreads group called Middle East and North African Lit. And they have a MENA challenge, Middle East and North Africa, every year. And I don't do it every year. I did it a few years ago. And sometimes I don't end up reading the author that they read, and then I haven't done it the last couple of years. I may do it again at some point, but in terms of the read around the world, I really want to focus on North Africa, well, Africa generally, probably South America, and a few other countries that I haven't gotten to. Reading Women Challenge. Where was this from? I can't remember. Who knows? Seems to have been a hashtag, but I actually can't remember who originated it. And then I've got Magical Readathons. Book Roast does a bunch of those. They used to be Harry Potter based, and now they're her own made-up world, which is actually quite impressive. And I might do, I can't remember what it's called, but she's got a yearly challenge, and then in, I want to say March or April, and then in August, she's got more in-depth monthly challenges. And so I might do a bit of that just for fun. Also, because her prompts are fairly easy to, they're fairly broad, so you can sort of fit your interests into it. It doesn't define, you know, your genres or whatever other interests for you. Unread Shelf was apparently a challenge I did very badly one year. Indigenous Lit. This is something I want to get back to at some point. So I listed out all of the First Nations in North America and the books that I have read from those nations. And as you can see, there are some considerable gaps. Actually, I've read that book now. I should check it off. So some of these, and some of the Read Around the World ones I have to update, because I haven't updated this in a fair while. Son of a Trickster I've read now. It's very good. The synopsis does not do it justice. I've read a Six Sigma book lately, which I'll have to add to the list. So yeah, there are a lot of First Nations. Like, really a lot. Oh, and what I didn't add from the southern US and Mexico, I didn't add. So I started with the north and worked my way south. And yeah, that's that. Is there anything else in this book? Oh, people who've recommended me books. I won't get into that too much. What is this? Oh, the Read Harder Challenge. I'll get into that in a second. So the Read Around the World is read around the world and read my own bookshelf. And the main challenges I want to do this one. This is the Book Riot reading log. So this is a book that has different challenges. I could actually probably list quite a few of those now. I clearly have not filled many things in. Challenge 4, published in another language. I've read a bunch of those. So someday, when I'm bored, I'll fill in some of that, but I just haven't yet. Other things have taken priority. And then, okay, this has some of book roasts. Magical readathon stuff. The different prompts. She has different magical universe-inspired prompts. They used to be called the Owls and the Newts. To like April and August challenges, but she's got different names for them now. And then I used to do the Read Harder challenges. Oops. So I did those starting in 2015, it looks like. I don't know where the 2016 one is. And they have good prompts, but now I'm just, I don't know. I don't want to follow their prompts. It feels too restrictive somehow, some of their prompts. And I want to get beyond that. Oh, that's just a list of all the Agatha Christie books. Is this? Oh, this is the 2016 one. Someday I may do another Book Riot challenge again, but yeah, for the time being, they feel too restrictive to me. And then, oh yeah, this used to be back when I had a printer, which I don't anymore. And the Magical Readathon was Hogwarts based. But she does up all her own designs now, and I might insert a screenshot of the one for this year, because I think I might do it. It sounds fun, and I think I could fit a lot of these books in. So anyway, after going through all that and going through my lists of countries that I haven't read books from yet, I pulled this set of books off my bookshelf. I don't know if it's too hard to see all of them, but can I zoom out at all on this camera? Possibly. And the light is going again because it's winter in Canada. What can you do? Anyway, these are all the books I have on my shelf. Well, not all of them. That are by authors from countries where I've never read a book from that country. Algeria surprised me. Couldn't believe I actually haven't read a book from that. Actually, is he Tunisian? Libyan. I think I've got a Tunisian author on my list, but I've got a couple audiobooks as well. I think he's Nepalese, and then some of these are African. I have actually read books by Saudi authors before, but this is the only history of an Arab country by a person from that country that I've got. So I want to read that one. And then I've got a couple in French. When I first started reading this, it was too hard for me in French, so I'm going to try it again this year, but it's impossible. And I mean, I literally don't think there are any books in English by Djiboutian women at all. Like, I don't think they exist. At least last I checked. I found a couple in French. This is one of them. There are a few books by Djiboutian men that have been translated into English, but as far as I can tell, 0 by women. So that's why I've got that. And then this author is the Nobel Prize winner from Guadeloupe, I believe. And I've got her book in French, and if it's too hard, I've got the English one too, and I might read them side by side. And then a couple of these, The Beekeeper of Aleppo and Ordinary Girls, and possibly The Return, I can't remember. My library has as audiobooks, so I'm gonna listen to those probably, because I'll just get through them quicker that way. Yeah, so that's this year's goal. Is not so much a specific readathon or reading challenge so much as read more books from countries I haven't read before and read more off my bookshelf, which I think are attainable. at least if I read a few of these, I'll have accomplished that. So that's the plan for the year, and I guess I'll update you later. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.